Welcome to episode 47 of the Catch Up Podcast with me, Brian Sumo Sumardi, the #1 podcast where you feed your curiosity on health, wealth, and creativity. Check it. We got a new guest in the studio?
Studio?
HQ?
Hey, call it what you want, man. It's a studio. That's all it is.
Matt Choi.
How
What's
we
going
doing,
on,
bud?
my guy?
Dude, I'm going well, man. It's a Friday. I can't complain. You know,
Yeah.
had a good week.
It's like mad hot outside. I'm in a
Dude.
tank top, first time.
Mad hot outside, but look, God has blessed us with some weather, so we can't complain.
Facts.
That's
Matt Choi is a commercial real estate investor,
Yes, sir.
founder of
Athletes Marathon.
Athletes Marathon. What else are you getting into?
I would say, I do a little online flipping. Like,
Okay.
As a very, very side hustle.
Yeah.
But a little flipping, just like, whether it's old stuff,
Yeah.
shoes, clothes, but also trying to source stuff as well, right? Going to retail stores, outlets.
Retail arbitrage.
100%, right? And then a
Uh-huh.
little flip game on eBay, Goat, Poshmark, a little bit of Facebook Marketplace, which
Okay.
I've seen a little bit.
There's a lot of scammers out there.
There are, honestly. You got to be
Yeah.
careful. Honestly, on eBay, too. eBay, I get a big-time scammers. Like, either they just created a profile. They're like, oh, you can list an item.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, someone's hitting you up like, yo.
What do you like to sell on eBay?
Honestly, eBay, I'm a lot of shoes.
Shoes. Yeah, same.
Shoes, cleats, and honestly, like if old gifts that I've received in the past that I don't use anymore, like
Okay.
my aunt got me this nice little Coach bag. It's
Yeah.
like almost like a laptop briefcase bag for like a
Okay.
corporate job.
Yeah.
I just don't use it. So
Yeah.
I was like listed on there. It was going for like 150 to 200.
Ooh, fancy.
It's pretty nice. It's like genuine leather. I mean, it's Coach. It's not Gucci, but
Yeah.
it's kind of name brand.
It's like real leather.
It's real leather.
The major.
You know, if
major
you're a
key.
sales guy, look, shout out. Look, come to Matt Choi 5. You can find me on eBay. Get this thing sold. It's been on the market for a little while. So,
I'm big on Mercari right now.
what is that?
Mercari is another app. It's kind of like eBay, or it's kind of like Let Go,
Okay.
but it's a little more professional. They just did a ID check, so there's like less scammers. The biggest thing I like about Mercari over eBay is that you don't get the PayPal charge.
Nice.
So
Nice.
eBay, you get a 10%. Was that cover?
It's like it's basically like a service fee. Pretty
Service
much.
fee for
Yeah.
eBay, 10%, and then you get a 3% every time you use eBay transactions.
Mhm.
So that's 13%. But with Mercari, it's a straight 10.
Okay.
And
That's
it's
good
like
to know.
it's connected directly to your bank account, so
Right.
it's easy transactions.
Honestly, I think that's why people kind of get away from eBay
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way, right? Because it's like almost they're charging all these fees, and yet you don't flip it as quick. I guess. I guess it's hit or miss depending on what it is.
I think it's still #1 is eBay. eBay is still the #1 marketplace, just like probably with Craigslist.
Mhm.
But Craigslist is
Yep.
like just you talking
100%.
and more
100%.
local.
Awesome.
But definitely, I want to like just literally just catch up with
Yeah,
you.
100%.
What's going on with the Athletes Marathon world?
The Athletes Marathon, man. So it's going, man. We're in the middle of the summer,
Uh-huh.
right? So I mean, a lot of guys that are home, they're here for either they just got back from college,
Yeah.
high school kids that are getting ready for camp in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it's been going well, actually. And I just told you, I mean, we had a new client of mine. He actually just came from China.
Okay.
Just flew in last Sunday,
Yeah.
and he had his first week this week. Just like kind of like a culture shock for him, I'd say.
Okay.
He sees like a lot of the guys I work with already, a lot
Yeah.
of college guys, and obviously a lot of African Americans, as well as
You're not ready for that?
Yeah, it's not even that. I think it's more like he sees now like what it takes almost,
Uh-huh.
right? He sees guys that are a couple years older than him,
Yeah.
that have been playing for a little while, and like I think for him it's awesome to see because it's like, damn, if I work hard enough, maybe I can get to that point. Like he saw one of my buddies, Darnell, and he's like, dude, how much do you bench? Like that was like his first question. He's like, dude, you're a mess. And I'm just like, dude, you gotta think like Darnell. Football's been his life for a little while now. So
Yeah.
I tell him all the time. His name's Constantine. I'm like, dude, you'll get to that point. Just be patient. I mean,
I'm sure
he's
there's a big
15,
age difference too.
100%. He's almost like 9 years younger. Nine
Yeah.
years younger than Darnell.
Yeah.
But-
okay. It's like when you look up at high school, like looking up at the league, like like from you going from like high school to even college,
Yeah,
and you watch it on TV, they seem bigger than what they really are.
100%.
And then let me just rewind it back to you. Like, what's your background in football?
Background in football. Okay, so honestly, so I was born in New Jersey. Never really played football when I was in Jersey. My parents got split when I was like 4 years old. But I moved out to Las Vegas at around 8 years old. And me and my brother hadn't really played sports yet. Honestly, soccer was our first sport. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I was like a pretty solid soccer player. And
you actually look like a
you
soccer
think so?
body. Yeah.
My dad was actually a really good soccer player in Korea. But then he had to go to the military, so he kind of had to stop playing. Oh. So he was like super hyped that I started playing soccer. Yeah. So funny story. When I was in Las Vegas, like I started playing soccer, and I was on a rec team.
Yeah.
And two of my other teammates, we basically got to try out for a travel club soccer team.
Okay.
And we got notified like a couple days after the tryout, and I didn't make the team. So pretty much like that was like the end of my soccer career.
And they were like your boys, right?
Not like my boys, but they were just teammates.
Okay.
Right. So it was my first year playing soccer. Like I was pretty good. So my coach was like, you know what? Like you might as well just try out for the club, for the travel team.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I might as well. My mom was like, you know what? Soccer's probably safer than football anyways, right? Especially being an Asian mom, Asian parents, it's like you don't really play football, all right? Yeah. But I didn't make the team, so basically and it's funny because my mom's boyfriend at the time, he was like super big into football.
Okay.
Big New England Patriots fan, like basically got us kind of engraved into football. So like our first year of watching the NFL, he was like, look, I'm gonna put $50 down on 2 teams for you guys. You guys pick 2 teams.
Yeah.
I picked the Falcons because I liked Michael Vick at the time.
Okay.
My brother picked the Steelers because he liked Hines Ward because he was half black, half Asian.
Okay.
And that kind of started our love for football. But then I started playing flag, and I was like, just like natural, very just like I was like at 10 years old, 11 years old. It just came super natural to me. Like didn't wear gloves, like was in the Land Sharks, like the OG Land Shark Nikes. And I had like I had like 30 touchdowns, like total offense and defense. And like I was like,
wait, was that on a
flag team?
Oh,
just
flag
like a
team.
regular flag team. It was like 7-on-7, and like that was like my first start. And like I started seeing like not just love, but like a lot of people were like, damn, like this Asian kid's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And like we were like pretty much not gonna discredit my other teammates, but we didn't have like we were like a solid team, right?
Okay.
Like I was like one of the better players, but we had a decent surrounding cast. So we actually went to Arizona and went to like a big tournament. So I was like, dude, at a young age, being like pretty good at it just naturally, it just came super. It almost like it was like love at first sight.
Okay.
But dude, I would remember times where I was just practicing. Me and my brother would just be thrown outside, and in Las Vegas, dude, it gets hot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you're in 100-degree desert heat, and we'd be thrown outside, and like you can see the black tar off the concrete, like. You can like stretch it out almost because it's that hot, right?
Dang, okay. I've never been to Vegas.
Yeah, dude, you definitely got to go.
Okay.
But when you're 21, it's a different. When you're older than
vibe.
21, it's a different vibe than when you're a kid there.
Right.
But then I kind of started getting into. I played another year of flag, and this is the first time I played quarterback.
Okay.
Like at 12 or 13. We had a new offensive coach. He put me at quarterback, and it's funny because the quarterback in that league, you can't run the football.
Okay.
But if he put me at running back and he would hand me the football,
Yeah.
so then I would have an option to run and throw. So then it was almost
okay.
like a
Like
dual
option.
threat. Exactly.
Okay.
So I would play running back. The quarterback would just hand me the ball, and then I would kind of play from there.
Okay.
But it was very creative because he
Yeah.
knew that I was a good athlete, and like the previous year I was playing receiver.
It reminded me of like a wing tee.
Almost, right? But we're still in gun.
Okay.
But he would just literally hand me the ball off and be like, all right, just make plays.
Okay.
Almost like just like a lot of options. Like, dude, I have highlights of when I was playing. I like years ago I would watch them sometimes. I'd be like, dude, I can't believe like I was like playing like that, like super young, you know? But then from there, my mom's ex-boyfriend, that same guy, he then was like, dude, like you need to play tackle. Like this flag stuff, it's cool and all, but like if you really want to play, like you need to play tackle football. And at the time, my brother was in high school, so he was playing tackle already. So we went to this team. It's called the Island Warriors. So it's pretty much like the Hawaii Warriors, right? So it's a lot of Samoan guys, Samoan coaches, Samoan parents, Samoan players.
In Vegas?
In Vegas, a lot.
Okay.
So
I know that.
the Hawaii, like that team, Hawaii Warriors, was very well known to be one of the better teams in that league.
Okay.
And not that they were just Samoan, but they just had really good coaches and a lot of good players funneled through there.
Yeah.
And dude, we did the whole thing. Like we did the haka. So like I was really engraved in like the Hawaiian culture.
Yeah.
You know? And like obviously my skin, it was like dark already.
Yeah.
So people almost thought like, oh, like
You're
this
one
guy.
of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Samoan.
Exactly. And like that was like kind of my first year playing tackle. But then my mom's ex, that same guy lived in Maryland. He actually lived in Gatesburg.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's the reason why I moved from Las Vegas to Maryland.
Okay.
Right? Because at that point, like, my mom and him had been dating a little bit, and they
Yeah.
were kind of like seeing if it's going to work out. So they wanted to live together first.
Yeah.
Obviously, didn't end up working out. But for
Right.
me, looking back on it, it's been a great opportunity for me to come here.
Right.
And I was going into 8th grade year, right? My brother
Okay.
was going into his junior year.
Oh.
So it kind of sucked for him because, like, when you're in high school,
Yeah.
you leave your friends that you've made for years.
Yeah, and then his
And
senior
then,
year.
Yeah,
That
so he
sucks.
had 2 years. He had a junior and senior year at Quince
Oh,
Orchard.
okay.
But for me, I had 1 year at Lakeland's
Uh-huh.
and then 4 years at Quince Orchard, right? So
Yeah.
he kind of laid the foundation out for me because he played football and he was pretty good. Like, he was a hustler,
Okay.
right? Had a strong motor,
Yeah.
and would just bust his ass, you know?
Okay.
And coaches, you know, they respect that, especially from a guy that's like, you know, he might not be a starter, but
Yeah.
he's a contributor still, you know?
Right.
And that kind of propelled me into my high school career, where I was on JV my first year. I played safety. I didn't really like defense that much. I was more of an offensive player, but it just happened that they just put me at safety.
Okay.
But then from there, I kind of, you know, blossomed a little bit more. I played varsity my sophomore year. Didn't really play that much, but I had a good glimpse of, you know, what varsity football is like. And at this point, like, I had my receivers coach. His name's Coach Changuris, and his father was actually like an OG legend at Seneca Valley. And he is like the guy that I look to at, like, as the one that kind of helped me prepare for college.
Yeah.
And, like, really got me right with all my receiver fundamentals and skills and drills. And honestly, like, a lot of the stuff that I make my guys do now is, like, back in the woodworks when he showed me when I was, like, 15, 16, 17, you know?
Okay.
But then I had played a little quarterback my senior year in high school. And then from there, you know, we went to two state championships back-to-back. We lost 2 years in a row, unfortunately. You know, just horrible losses too. It's like nail biter games that, you know, we should have won, but we just end up not closing the deal type of thing.
Okay.
But the blessing, I guess, was we had, you know, super good athletes.
Yeah.
My senior year, we had me and 6 other teammates that signed Division I letter of intent.
How many?
7 in total.
Okay.
So Monmouth, Nebraska, Richmond, I'm drawing a blank here. Oh, Georgetown.
Okay.
JMU, right? So we had a lot of guys that actually had the opportunity to really go play college ball. So for me, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, looking back at my, like, almost recruitment, like, I basically played receiver my junior year, and my plan was I wanted to play receiver in college, right?
Okay.
But obviously with me having to play quarterback my senior year, it kind of, like, I didn't have a lot of film my senior year. So
You played your whole senior year at quarter QB?
the first 2 games I played receiver.
Okay.
First 2 games I played receiver. The third game I played a little bit of... No, actually, I'm sorry. The first 3 games I played receiver.
Mhm.
The 4th game is the first game where I started taking snaps at quarterback.
Okay.
But from there, week 4 to state championship, I was playing quarterback the rest of the year. So really, like, just sacrificing for the team. My head coach came to me. He's like, look, obviously, like, we had lost the previous year in the state championship. So we had, like, our whole motto was unfinished business. And we were trying to get back there and you know, win another state championship.
Okay.
So I really, he sat me down. He's like, I really feel like you're going to be our best option for us now to move forward and really try and win this thing. And
What happened to the other guy?
so the starting quarterback, my friend Mikey Murtaugh, he actually tore his ACL.
Oh.
He was on this rollout play. He planted his right foot.
Yeah.
I think it was his right knee, and then it just blew out.
Okay.
He threw the ball. Actually, he threw the ball to me,
Yeah.
and I completed it. It was like a comeback route, and he threw it to me. I got like 15 yards, but he tore his knee that play.
Gotcha.
And he was basically done for the year.
Yeah.
And the backup that we had, his name was Tobin Pagley. He was a junior. And no disrespect to Tobin, it was just like I think the coaches at that point had to make a decision, right?
Right.
Obviously, I wasn't like the most accurate thrower.
Yeah.
Right. So I was really more of a scrambling quarterback. I ran the ball out. We did a lot of
Okay.
zone reads and
Athlete.
Exactly. So at the time, Braxton Miller was playing at Ohio State.
Okay.
So my offensive coordinator, who's the head coach at Richard Montgomery now,
Mhm.
we would watch a lot of their film to
Oh.
simulate a lot of the zone read
Yeah.
and the read options that they were doing,
Okay.
and then implement it into our system.
Yeah.
Obviously, towards the end of the year, playoff time, I was throwing the ball better, but it still wasn't like a traditional pocket quarterback. Like, dude, all season, all summer, I was training to be a receiver, right? And obviously, I could throw the football, but it wasn't to the point of like sit in the pocket and
Yeah.
go through all your progressions, right? So for me, it was a slight learning curve.
Okay.
But honestly, for the team aspect, right, it's like when you really take a step back and you sacrifice yourself for a bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I learned from that lesson. And my head coach really made me believe at an early age when I was in high school. He's like, Matt, if you want, you can play college ball somewhere. Like he planted that
And
seed.
you did.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah.
He planted that seed in my head. And when I got my first offer when I was a junior. I went to this Donnie Zimmerman camp.
Okay.
And if they talk about sacrifice real quick, it was the day after prom.
Okay.
Right? So junior prom, right? I mean, most of my friends, like I went to prom, I just didn't drink.
Okay.
Right, so most of my friends were out after party drinking, but me, my other teammates that were like, "Yo, we were just hungry for offers." Like, right at that point, it's like, am I going to sacrifice prom, or potentially my future? Right. So I didn't drink that night. I went home early. I woke up the next morning. Me and my teammates drove out to PG County.
Okay.
Like 7:30 a.m. and it was like 10 of us, dude, all in red, just pulled up, and like everyone knew that we were from Quince Orchard, and like all of us snapped. Like I probably had one of the best showings as like. Just as a player, and like also just being Asian, it's more impressive the fact that you have Division I coaches, Division I AA coaches, all there, Division II coaches there watching, and basically how a camp goes is you have a number on your chest, right? Yeah. Basically, all right, if you're number 35, he's number 111, and coaches basically check down. Oh, like this kid has potential, right?
They're scouting you,
100%, right? Everything you do, from warm up to drill. Are you walking? Are you tired? Are you fatigued? Like every little thing that you can get critiqued on.
Okay.
And this, like, I don't know, I just felt really good that day. Like I ran like a 4.6, so that really helped me because like for me the 40 time was like my struggle, right? So me running a 4.6 on a hand clock was pretty good. Yeah. And then from there, like Brian, I was snapping on 101s. Like when I tell you, bro, like I was going against like whoever it was, I was like literally I was going off. Like almost, it got to the point where like basically when we were doing 1-on-1s, there was a coach there that would be like, all right, you're gonna run this, you're gonna run this. And after like 3 or 4 reps, when I was catching everything that they were telling, or you run a hitch, run a slant, come back, whatever. He was like, you know what, you can pick your own route. So I just like, it got to the point where it's like, I was just like, I felt so confident, and like almost when you're in that groove, in that zone, like nothing is gonna stop you.
Like wop,
100%, 100%. And it's not even it's because you gotta think you're not in pads, right? So it's literally all like just cleats and gloves. Go out there and it's who's a better athlete, right? Who's gonna get open? Who's gonna make plays? So from there, I got my first offer from University of Charleston in West Virginia. It's a Division II school, and it's actually honestly a really good Division II school. Okay. But then I basically didn't commit because I wanted to see after the season who I would get offered by. Right. I talked about him earlier. Darnell Leslie went to Monmouth the year before because he's a year older than me, and he actually went there as a defensive end. Gotcha. And I never heard of Monmouth. Dude, I'm from New Jersey, and I didn't know what Monmouth was because it's in Central Jersey, and I was like grew up in North Jersey, right? Okay. But I heard, and the only reason I knew of Monmouth was because of Darnell. So I went on a visit, and when you have someone that you know at a school, it almost feels like home. Like it's a big brother, like, oh, show you the ropes, so give you the real truth of like what it's like, right?
I think put your good word. 100%,
right? So it almost felt like family. So I had an option. It's like, do I want to go 1AA or do I want to play Division II football? So I wanted to play at the highest level. So I took my opportunity at Monmouth and I played there. So I was a 4-year student athlete at Monmouth University. I studied business, marketing, and management. Okay. My college career was solid. It wasn't great. Yeah. I would say I battled a lot of injuries. I tore my PCL. I had a herniated disc. And then it's like the politics of college football, right? I think people don't understand that once you play in college, it's a different level, right? It's NCAA, but it's also more of a job, right? Like you really got to love it because if you dedicate your time, which is 6 a.m. lift, 7 o'clock meeting, 7:30, pre-practice, and like you have your film, right? Like all that stuff. So you have this schedule already conditioned in your mind, right? And when you get to that point, it's like one, you got to really impress your coaches and show that you have the work ethic and accountability to do your job. Yeah. It's not like high school where it's like the love of the game. All the fans that are watching because you grew up with them, and the community's behind your back.
It's harder to stand out. You're trying to say
that, yes, because dude, the level of competition is greater, right? But any athlete, like what you're getting, what you're signing up for, right? Yeah. So for me, the competition was never the issue. For me, it was just staying healthy, and then from there, when you get hurt, the confidence in your own mind, right? So like really on some David Goggins thing, it's like once you can control your own mind of believing in yourself, right? It's a different level, right? But once that confidence starts to deteriorate, performance deteriorates, right? Okay. So it's one of those things where you really got to capitalize on your opportunity, even though, you're not in the best system or you're not, having the best coaches or whatever it might be. But in college, it's like you have to kind of eat the bullet. Yeah. Right? Like it's hard to transfer. If you're that guy that's transferring every year because the situation's not good, right?
Yeah.
Talk about delayed gratification, where it's like, as a freshman, everyone wants to play,
Right.
right? But most freshmen redshirt, right?
Yeah.
That's typically the route they go because it's tough to be 18 years old and start competing against guys that are 22, 23, right? Because they're grown men.
Right.
So that learning curve of speed, size, and strength it's a tough battle to fight. So my first year I redshirted. Then immediately my redshirt freshman year I started playing as a backup. So I was a second string to actually a tight end in the NFL now, Neil Sterling. And Neil was a dog, man. He was a savage. He was 6'5", 230. He was our ex-receiver. He made plays. But the thing with Neil, he was a star player, so he got treated like a star player.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
with that frame,
100%. Right. So and he made plays as a young player. So coaches were more lenient. Like, Neil, you don't have to practice. Neil, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do that.
Politics.
So 100%. Right.
Yeah.
So the good thing for me was my first year there in spring ball. Neil didn't really practice all spring ball, so I took all of his reps with the ones.
Wait, so you played what, tight end or
no? I played receiver. So Neil played receiver at Monmouth, but they moved him to tight end when he went to the NFL.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Just because his speed wasn't as high caliber, because he ran like a 4.6. So his speed at the NFL level is not burner speed, right? It's more intermediate possession receiver type of stuff. So they moved him to tight end when he went to the NFL, but when he was at Monmouth, he was a straight receiver, our number one receiver. Okay, right? And he was a savage. I mean, very few.
Eric Decker type of player.
Better. Better in the fact that obviously Eric Decker had a better NFL career, but at our level, he was more like, I would say, not even to gas his head, but at the 1AA level at Monmouth, he was more like a Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, that type of impact player at our level, right? Not talking NFL. I'm talking about we were in the NEC Northeastern Conference, which the competition wasn't that great. Okay, we played like Duquesne University, Robert Morris, Wagner, right? So schools like that weren't big name, but it was still 1AA football. But Neil was a very impact player, but he didn't really practice that whole spring ball. So for me, I took all the reps with the ones. Okay. So for me, it was like, wow, a great opportunity to run with the starters and take all these live reps as a freshman. Yeah. But then from there, I had a solid sophomore season. I kind of was like a rotational player, right? Yeah. So think about a receiver. There's 4 of them that play at a time, 3 or 4 that play at a time, and then guys need rest, in and out of certain routes. Like if someone runs deep, you're probably going to get them gassed out for like 1 or 2 plays, right? Yeah. Then I go into my junior year, and I was pretty much I was a starter. So me and my friend Reggie White Jr., who's actually on the Giants right now, me and him were the 2 outside receivers. Okay. And this was like my junior year. So at this point, Neil had graduated, and it was pretty much like open slate for who's going to be the top receiver, right? Okay. First game of the year, I caught a screen pass, and it's an ironic story because my business partner now, Hakeem Valles, was playing tight end at the time. Okay. And we ran this play called Wendy's, which was like a smoke screen. Okay. So I basically, as a receiver, you just one step and you just get a screen pass, right? And basically how we practiced it was whoever was off the line of scrimmage would run the screen. And I told Hakeem, I'm like, yo, go on, because I wanted the ball, low key. Yeah. And we were on our sideline. I caught the ball. Keem was coming to block the corner, and he kind of whiffed. He tried to cut him, but then he missed. So as I caught the ball, I was like running towards the sideline. And then the linebackers were all screaming down to me, obviously. And one of them hit me in the knee, and I felt a pop. And I'm like, shoot, hold on. And like I got up real quick, and like obviously my sideline was like right where like Kev is, right? So I told my coach, I'm like, hold on. I like started walking, and it just felt weird. And like I like started cutting even. Like I put pressure on that foot, but I knew that it wasn't right. So I literally was like, yo, I got to sub out really quick. And this was like the first quarter. So literally
first quarter, first game.
It's junior year. First quarter, first game, first catch of the season, I tore my PCL, which is a ligament that not many people know. So like how it works is the posterior cartilage ligament, and the ACL goes like this, and the PCL wraps around right underneath it. It kind of crosses over, and it builds that ligament. And that's kind of how the knee gets stabilized. Okay. So it's it's not as common of an injury. I think the biggest name guy that got hurt with this injury is Keenan Allen. He tore his PCL
from the Chargers.
From the Chargers, yes. Yeah. And he was one of my, I looked up to him a lot because I felt like I played a lot similar to him, just his movements and the way he played, because he's really more of a possession receiver than a burner, you know?
I was going to say that.
But basically that kind of sidelined me that entire year almost. I had, the recovery time was 8 to 10 weeks. Okay. Right, so think about football real quick. you get 10 guaranteed games,
Right.
right? And in football, you pretty much train year round, right? So you train 355 days out of the year for 10 guaranteed opportunities against another opponent, right? So when you put that into perspective, it's like, damn, now I'm sidelined for 8 to 10 weeks, which is pretty much almost the whole season, right? And I didn't have to get surgery because it was a grade 2 tear, which basically means that it was torn, but it wasn't
ripped.
Exactly, right? So it was basically a medium-sized tear, but it got to the point like my knee was swollen. I couldn't really move on it. So like the first couple of weeks, dude, was straight ice, stem, like not moving any pressure on it and all that stuff. So that kind of screwed my junior year over. And then going into senior year, like that injury kind of like, not that it like got in my head, but like I felt like my leg wasn't as like explosive, twitchy. Like it didn't have that burst. And I competed to start, and I ended up starting my senior year, but I just like I didn't put up the craziest numbers. Like I didn't have like the most, explosive senior year that I kind of wanted.
Right.
And part of it was like after I got hurt, a lot of young guys got playing time. Right. So they got opportunity to step up and make plays, and they were obviously comfortable with the system and everything. And I'm not making no excuses, and I don't live with regrets because I look at that as like a learning opportunity, right?
Right. Personal growth.
100%. That's all it is. But then from there, my senior year was decent. I started pretty much most of the year, but I wasn't like the impact player that I put this. I didn't reach all the goals that I wanted, my personal goals, right? But part of it, now I look back at it, like I think my mentality was a little bit more selfish. Like it was about me coming back from an injury and doing all this, right? Versus what the team needed, right? And now I kind of take a step back and I learn from that, where it's like maybe if I had a different mentality, going into that year where it's not all about me per se, but it's more for the team, I think it might have gone a different route,
And to fast forward to now you started Athletes Marathon.
Right.
Can you just break that down, like what that is and how you kind of structure that?
So the Athletes Marathon is basically football-specific performance training.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, dude, there's a whole bunch of trainers out there right now. It's a saturated market, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what me and my partner Tyler do differently is that it's receiver specific, position specific, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just in the belief that if guys aren't motivated on their own to do, workouts in the gym and, basically stuff that you can control, right? Like I feel like I shouldn't have to push someone to go squat and deadlift and bench and all like the stuff that, guys should be doing in the off season.
Right.
But I do see an opportunity to help kids where it's like, on the field, right? Because like a lot of guys in the summertime, they don't really go on the field and throw and run routes and perfect their craft on the field because that's kind of what translates you into camp, right? Because in camp mode,
you build that chemistry with the quarterback.
It's that, but it's also getting your legs right. Because people don't understand the wear and tear that camp does on a human, right?
Real,
so it's not as much lifting, right? Because you can be as strong as you want, but if you can't move on the field, I don't care how much you bench or squat, it doesn't matter. Because if you can't run a dig route, a post corner, and get to your spot on time, it doesn't matter what you squat, bench, or deadlift, right?
Facts.
Obviously, that stuff is important because it helps translate to football. It helps translate to staying healthy.
Right.
But at the same time, you need to be on the field, doing more position-specific drills to get you prepared for camp.
Right.
And I just saw an opportunity where it's like, I felt like I had a lot of knowledge because me being Asian, me being Korean playing football is almost like an anomaly, right? It's not a common thing you see.
Yeah.
What set me apart when I was playing in high school, college was work ethic, right? Accountability, like things that you can control, right? And I always held myself to a high standard of making sure that one, I'm, very dedicated, right? Whether it's showing up early, not being late, making sure you don't miss practices, lifts, weight room, film, all that stuff. And also it's like the extra stuff, right? Like what you're doing when no one's watching.
Yeah.
And I learned at a young age, one of my old teammates, Kieran Greger, his father was a cop, and he would come in and talk to us like at cougar camps, at like football camps, and he'd be like, character is what you do when no one's watching.
Right.
Right. And like that, people like it sinks in a little bit because it's like, damn, like what am I doing when I'm just by myself? What am I doing when no one's like seeing what I'm doing, when no one's recording me and all that stuff, right? And like that kind of sets like character at a different level almost, right? And I heard that, and I'm like, damn, like it just resonated with me a lot. So I always made sure that I was in control of, how much work I put in to make sure that I was prepared. So I felt like I had a lot of stuff in here that now I just feel like I want to distribute to others at mass.
Let me digest this real quick. So like I'm thinking now, like it's one thing to have like it's like affirmative action because you're Korean and you stand out just for being a different race in football. But on top of that, it's you kind of learn from the high school game to the college game. You were more team oriented because you went from receiver to quarterback
Right.
In your senior year to help out the team.
Right.
But then when you got to college, you said you became a more ego mentality, like you. But then you also realized like injuries happen.
Right.
And then now coming in like full circle, you kind of brought those experiences and like not to say like it's a blessing, but it kind of is that you get to share these experiences with these young cats,
Right.
these like high school kids, because you had that same experience growing up, and that's just the real dope thing to me. And I think I'm really big into like why. I think you asked me this question offline, and it's like is that your why?
I think my why is more education.
Okay.
And it's crazy because people that know me and know me with school and stuff know that I'm not the biggest fan, right, of just school in general. Like, you know, I cheated a lot. I made, you know, I would always like finagle my way through tests and quizzes and like homework and stuff. And school was just never a big thing for me. I think part of it was like what I was learning. Yeah. You know, I didn't feel like it, you know, it didn't hit me in the fact that I didn't think that what I was learning was going to translate specifically into what I wanted to do. Right. But for me, like when I say education, it's more now that I know more about like financial literacy, right? It's one of those things where I feel like it's a missing topic in school. Yeah. So I feel like the reason I say education more is because I want to be able to give back my time and my perspective and knowledge to kids that, you know, don't have a positive voice in their ear where it's like, guys, like you have to understand that, you know, when football is done, you know, what are you going to do afterwards, right? Because a lot of times it's like football. Like I said, right, you train year round for football, and that's all you know. That's all you're committing your time to. Where do you leave room for being an artist, being an author, being a digital guy, a video editor, right? Like, there's not room for other stuff. Right. So for me, it's like showing guys that football is a great outlet to get out of your current situation, right? If you're a high school kid right now and you parents don't have money to send you to college, well, shoot. Use football then as leverage to maybe get a scholarship, get college paid for, get a degree that now you want to pursue something in moving forward, right? But that financial literacy is something that is a sensitive topic because parents don't want to talk about that because one, they don't know it themselves. They don't know it themselves. They don't live by it. Yeah. And then three, it's like money is a sensitive topic in here, right?
It's a status thing.
100%, right? It's about, you know, it kind of lets you one up someone else, right? Whether it's your house or your car or how big of a pool you have, right? Yeah. And I think like educating a younger generation of athletes, younger generation of kids, like making sure that they are setting the right foundation for themselves so that they don't make the same mistakes that, you know, people that are older than them have made. Right. And I'm not saying that I know everything, right? Yeah. I'm not a life coach. Right. I'm just giving the perspective that I've gained from my short amount of time living on Earth. Yeah. And making sure that it can empower one person, maybe two people, right? And I tell my guys all the time, all my clients, I'm like, guys, this stuff is awesome. Football is awesome. It's a great outlet. It's a great way to, you know, deal with your stress and kind of be free out here. Because it's like when you're good at football, when you're good at sports, it's an outlet for you to kind of just live your world. It's your world at that moment, right? For those 60 minutes. Yeah. But at some point, right, even for Tom Brady, you're going to retire. Right. And what are you going to do after that is done, right? And like that is what I like to push to my kid, like all the guys I work with.
So it's really big. I want to say that something that makes us like click together too is that hustler mentality.
100%.
And it's more of like you kind of took everything at face value, and that's something that I realized. And now hearing the full story, kind of just in depth and like really really listening to, I hear like you had a lot of adversities, but you always checked yourself one way or another, or not by you personally, but sometimes it might be from a mentor, one of your boys' fathers. You always had someone to like put you in your place, or even like an injury. Right. And then now coming again full circle, you're doing it to the kids and you're giving them back, but now you want them to have that like personality or perspective to think about that, because I think you understand that at a young age, if you don't have experiences, like I know for me, a lot of people that I know who grew up here and like never really moved around. Right. Like you started in Jersey, then you went to Vegas, and you came back here. Right. So it's like you had a lot of experiences.
100%.
And especially just traveling and meeting new people. Right. And you always had to adapt. I don't think I don't know if you realize that, but that's shaped you to be a great man.
I think, and I appreciate that. I think that is it's accurate. Being able to adapt, right? Like you said, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta think when you're young,
Yeah.
having to make new friends,
Right.
right? And it's like being a new kid, and you know, it's one of those things where you have to be comfortable in that uncomfortability. And I think it's helped me be able to network more now, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, guys, you got to understand, like, this little bubble of Montgomery County, Maryland, which I have friends that have lived here their whole lives. Like, they were wearing diapers with some of their best friends that are their best friends still, right? And that is awesome. It's something that I've never got to experience, right? But it's not like I look back and dwell on that, but it's like, it's awesome that people have that, but sometimes it closes their mind and thinking,
it's almost a disability sometimes.
It can be, right? And like, for me, it's like, I look at everything that I've been through, and like me getting raised by a single mother too, it's like, I put that as like one of the most powerful things for me, where it's like my mom, what she had to go through raising two boys, right, without a father in our lives almost. And I think that's why me and my brother gravitated towards football, because it was almost like you said, right, having a role model, having a coach as a role model that is now trying to empower you to be something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And I think I learned a lot from football, but also from my mom. And like, as me and my mom, as I get older, she's more open to tell me things of when I was a kid and really what it was like, right? Because I look at, like, dude, me and my brother, when we lived in New Jersey, my mom couldn't afford a babysitter, right? So we would get off the school bus and we would run home, and like other friends would be like, oh, like, do you guys want to, you know, do homework at our house? And we'd be like, oh, we can't, like, and just kind of make up an excuse, because it's like we didn't want other people to know that that we didn't have a babysitter, because it is not legal to have kids that are 7 and 4 years old watching themselves.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Right? I mean, it's not that, I don't think there's like a rule, but it's uncommon that parents just let their kids watch themselves at a young age, right?
Yeah.
And dude, I remember times where we would get off the school bus and people would kind of be fishy about it. And like, even one kid, him and his mom would come to our door in Avalon, New Jersey. And like, they would like be knocking on the door, like making sure that like someone was there and all this stuff. And like, me and my brother would hide in my mom's closet under her clothes, lock the closet, and just go like this and just pretend like we didn't hear anything. Right?
Oh shit.
And it would be times where even like they would call cops and be like, oh, like these kids are staying by themselves and like shit like that. I'm like, it really, I think it put more of a toll on my brother, because then he had to step up and really be like an older brother and like almost like a father like role for me, where it's like a real role model, right?
Okay.
But like to your point of like that adversity and being able to adapt, I think it's made me be mature a lot quicker, right? Where it's like you become self-reliant, right? Having to start your homework on yourself, right? On your own, and you know, having it done before your mom gets home from work, right? And at the time, my mom was working like 2-3 jobs to put the food on the table. And like, at the time, dude, as a kid, you don't think about that stuff. Like, you're not thinking like, damn, like, why isn't my mom here, right? It's just, it becomes a thing where it's like, she's working, right? And it's like, when you don't have someone like there all the time, you almost become self-reliant and you have no choice, right?
That's wild to me how young you are. You're 24?
Yeah, I'm 24.
24, and to accept the responsibilities at a young age. And I can say that because I did that too.
Right.
And I kind of feel like how your brother felt in terms of like figuring out yourself, except I'm the opposite way. Like, I'm the youngest of 4 stepbrothers. But my next oldest brother is 11 years older than me, so he didn't really want to hang out with me either. So learning from that, I think your brother's also in the military, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
similar to you.
Yeah, it's just similar to me, and I had a lot of touching moments in your story right now to think about. Like, I needed a way out, because I knew like the same guys that you know here who grew up with a lot of people that grew up in diapers. I had that, but I realized around 18 that I was at Montgomery College, and I was gonna go through something that I didn't want to go through. I needed experiences. Because I felt like I was gonna be stuck. Right. I was getting complacent, and I didn't like it. Right. So I'd made the biggest jump of my life, and that was just joining the military.
And it's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
It is in a way, because you don't know what to expect on the other side.
Right.
Right.
But honestly, too, I kind of had a two answer for the military, too. It was because I wanted to be a personal trainer, because I saw my brother getting into like lifting for the first time. And then I met my weight training coach in Montgomery College. Right. He told me to join, get a certification. I did, and then once I tried to apply for his job, because he also he was the general manager at the same time of a Gold's Gym.
Mm-hmm.
I applied for the job. The fitness manager didn't like me. I was like, all right, cool. You don't like me because I don't have experience? Bet. What can I do to gain experiences? I was like, you know what? There's not a lot of military trainers around. So I felt like I was always ahead of the game because I had that self-awareness. And I wanted to applaud for you, admire that from you, because you had that awareness. And like nowadays we have like Soldier Fit, boot camps. Boot camps, all the craze.
Yeah.
And this was me back in 2011. I was like, yo, I'm going to join the military, and then I'm gonna show them what's up.
Right.
But then now I came home, I tried to do it on my own, but then it kind of caught up too.
Right.
So I'm just trying to say, like, wow, that's crazy to me. Like, just bring it all together now.
Yeah.
And so I want to get now into the financial part, because I feel like you learned a lot. And since I brought up that you were a commercial real estate investor, how did you get into that?
Okay. So when I was right out of school, so I left Monmouth after my 4 years, right? And I graduated with a business marketing and management degree.
Right.
And, obviously with marketing and management, like it's kind of, there's no direct route for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're an accountant, you're going to go be an accountant, right? If you're a lawyer, you're going to go practice law.
Yeah.
If you're a dentist, you're going to, work on teeth, right?
Right.
When you're marketing and management major, it's almost like, all right, well, you got to leverage what you've done in the past, right? So I took a job with this company called Shred It, and it was basically like a document destruction company, and like it's a service company, but my title was a manager in training. Okay. So I basically got the opportunity to see every facet of the business, whether it's like working as like a service driver or working as a supervisor, manager, sales rep. And also like an analyst, because in 2018, and this is kind of to answer your question about financial literacy, I had the opportunity to travel with work. We were basically implementing a new software system at every single Shred It location within the country, right? And Shred It's pretty worldwide. It's over 15,000 employees, and it's almost in every single state. So January 2018 to November 2018, I basically traveled year-round, like almost the whole year, but 3 weeks out of the 4 weeks, I was traveling Monday through Friday. Going to Miami, going to LA, going to Buffalo, going to Knoxville, Tennessee, like going to just basically
every state.
You know what I'm saying? So we would start down south in Florida. We worked our way to the West Coast, then to like the Midwest, then in the Northeast, and then we went like super north.
So you kind of like snaked it up.
Exactly, right? Like that was kind of like the corporate plan that we had come up with, and it was going to be 10 months, 11 months of travel.
Yeah.
In that time period, like this is the analogy I use. I said I was on the bench.
Okay.
Think about a basketball player when you're undrafted and you're a rookie.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna be on the bench, and you need to soak in a lot of information, right? Whether it's you learning the playbook, watching other guys work, and seeing how they prepare. I was basically on the bench reading, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, and basically educating myself with as much real estate information as I could.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I didn't want to work W-2 world forever, right? And like I had that thought in my mind early, where it's like, dude, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, damn, do I want to be an employee like the rest of my life? Or do I kind of want to move forward as like as either a business owner, two, as a as an entrepreneur or investor? And that kind of, it was quick in my mind where I knew I didn't want to have to build up another corporation for someone else all my life, right? Okay. So I basically was reading, educating as much as I could in that year, but then my partner now, Hakeem Valles, was at this point he was with the Arizona Cardinals, and he had just got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals and was basically on practice squad, and he got activated for a few games, but he ended up buying a small multifamily in Phoenix.
While he was still in the league?
While he was in the league. Okay. So he needed a place to live, so he house hacked a fourplex. So he lived in one of the units, and he rented out to 3 other tenants.
So how did he learn? Or
he learned because his ex-girlfriend during college, her father used to flip houses. Okay. So Keem, his kind of backstory is he was a bench warmer in Monmouth. So a lot of his time early on, he was just super entrepreneurial as a kid. But he started flipping houses. He flipped like over 20 or 30 houses in like a summer. with his ex-girlfriend's father, because he was running a flipping company and he was helping.
Yeah.
So he kind of went through that rich dad poor dad experience just on the fact that he was learning, because his focus was real estate at Monmouth, because there's a business concentration in real estate there. So he was basically learning how to be like a broker or an agent for a corporation.
Monmouth sounds like a dope school, actually.
Monmouth is on the come up, is what I would say. They've upgraded a lot of their facilities, and they're on the come up, and it's a honestly beautiful campus. It's right by the beach. It's a dope school. It is. But basically, he was learning in the classroom, and then outside of the classroom, his ex-girlfriend's father was teaching him how to flip houses.
Yeah,
right.
He knew how to, like, what's it called? Not adjust. Is it adjust? Adjust the value? 'Cause I know in the cars when you get the accident, it's called like adjusting,
right?
Or appraising houses.
He was appraising houses, but he was also door knocking, cold calling.
Okay.
Basically early morning he would drive before practice. He would go check out properties to see how the renovation was going and stuff like that. So he didn't even realize that he was kind of learning through that. He just thought, like, dude, I'm just flipping houses.
Work,
you know? But now he kind of flips back, and that's kind of how his foundation was set. And he kind of put me under his wing, where it's like he kind of showed me a lot of opportunities where what real estate can offer.
Right.
And at that point, obviously, I was already doing my own learning and educating, right? But now people talk about getting a role model or finding a mentor, and it is important.
Right.
It's not everything. It's not that shouldn't be what holds someone back, but it is important to find someone that can guide you through the trials and tribulations. Right. So I learned a lot from him, and then he started, just planting a seed in my head where it's like, Choi, one, like, I kind of know how you are, how you act, and, like, what you can do. Yeah. So he kind of saw a potential in me, just because me and him were pretty close when we were at Monmouth.
You had a strong, like, work ethic.
100%, right? And he saw, like, I was good with people, and I was able to adapt to adversity and stuff like that. And I'm very optimistic in how I talk and what I believe in and what I do.
Facts.
So I think he kind of saw that in me, and obviously me and him would always chat. Like, whenever he would come visit Monmouth, we'd always link up again and always just talk about how he's doing with NFL football. But I never looked at Keem like, oh, like, I want to get something from him because he's in the NFL. Yeah. It was just like, dog, that's my guy. And more at this point, he's like a mentor for me. Like, I look at it as more like, we've helped each other along the way type of thing. But he kind of showed me what real estate can offer and what it can do, because a lot of times when you're a beginner real estate guy, especially as an investor, like, you're looking at small pickings, right? As like a single family, right? Because everyone tells you, the books you read is like, start small and then start slowly build up your equity and then grow into a bigger property. Right. But he kind of basically showed me, like, you can kind of skip that step. Yeah. Obviously, I was able to leverage him and what he's done, because now it's like a partnership more. It's like, hey, like, this is what my partner does. This is kind of what we look for, right? So it's almost like they talk about leverage all the time in real estate. It's a powerful thing.
Private capital.
100%, right? So it's not just leveraging, debt on a house. That is one thing, but it's leveraging your relationships. And I think that's something you do well as well, where it's like you can leverage someone, and not that you're trying to get something from them, but hey, like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and we kind of find a way of how we can collaborate and work together, right?
I think this is the perfect segue that I want to get into, which is like the law of attraction.
Oh, man.
And this is definitely like,
hold on, something that everyone doesn't believe in, by the way. And I'm not
true.
Right. I'm not saying that it's everything. I just think it's part of human nature, and if you're an optimistic person, it's something that you should believe in. And it's not saying that I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to just be a billionaire, but I don't have to do anything about it, right? It's saying that stuff, but then making sure that your actions match your words.
Facts.
Right? And go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's cool. But to me, like, I still have a strong disbelief in the law of attraction. Okay. But the reason why I bring it up is because it's the only way I know how to explain about it. Because, like, I have my boys, you met Robbie Young. Yep. He's really big on calling it manifesting destiny. Okay. But also it's called the law of attraction. But to me, it's like I always knew what I wanted, and I'm a kind of guy to test systems. I feel like I'm very scientific in that way, where, okay, I want money. How do I get money? And it's like work. Okay, what do I need to do for work? I get a job. Okay, boom. That's when I first learned. But then I realized I wasn't efficient spending time for money. Right. Like, my first job was working at Baskin Robbins, making like $750 or something like that. Maybe like $550 at that time. I was like only 13 years old, but then I was like, yo, I'm working all these hours. But at the time I didn't have expenses at 13. 100%. So I was like, I was
stacking up.
Yeah, I was stacking. But then I remember at that young age, it was the same time, like, I was buying like diamond earrings. I was just like stunting.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any better. But I wish if I knew now, or at least someone like, I don't know, maybe like a year or two, or maybe even like my parents, my brothers, someone just be like, hey, one day you're going to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to realize a house is like at minimum $100,000.
Right.
Or like even just in Montgomery County. Or I bought a house in Baltimore for that price. But then now I'm looking at prices that's like $500,000.
Right.
And that's like not even for like a good, like really good house.
Right,
it's just average now.
Yeah,
just
like
in
a
this
row
area.
home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking like, if I knew what I know now, just on pricing and value,
Right.
I would have saved money from 13, and like see how far I could have went. Like I know how far I could be right now if I just like started early.
Right.
And that's another thing where I really appreciate you like helping the kids and doing it from that aspect. Like I'm doing it as well, but through the fitness aspect. But then it's not the same,
Right.
because like culturally, football is like it's a manly thing.
Yeah.
Lifting is more of an ego thing.
Yeah.
So I'm on an uphill battle of fighting people's ego who want to look good and get girls and stuff like that. But I like when it comes to football, sports, it teaches teamwork
100%.
and the community and camaraderie.
Yeah, the life skills that football teaches someone is it's on a different level, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a track runner, if
Yeah.
you're a tennis player, it's you versus that other guy, right?
Right.
And obviously there's the team aspect of who has the most points in a relay rate, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like if your team, you know, boys and girls collectively as a whole have like the most points, you're going to win that whole tournament, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, if you're running a 100-meter dash, it's you versus 7 other men, right? Or if you're a woman, it's you versus 7 other women.
Right.
And you got to beat them, right? But in football, you got 11 grown men trying to, you know, obviously as a whole collective group, execute one play at a time.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look at defense and special teams, and it becomes a whole team building thing, like you just said, where it's like you have to rely on someone. Right.
Yeah.
If you're a quarterback and you run a 4.4 and you can throw 80 yards on the field, but you have no one to throw to, it doesn't matter how
Right.
good you are. Right. So it's one of those things where it's very humbling, because no matter how talented you are in football, if you don't have a strong team and coaching and everything in between, then it doesn't really matter. Right.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, dude, football teaches life skills, and people don't see that and understand that until they get out, I think. And even then, it's sometimes hard to see that. And that's why it's like when I tell guys, I'm like, dude, you guys don't understand how, you know, impressed employers would be to hire a football player because of, one, what they've been through, right? That accountability, work ethic. It's something that's breeded into a kid at a young age that most regular students don't really have to do, right? So it is extremely gratifying when you're in a team sport.
Well, let me ask you something. So let me think about what do you think is like a quality or characteristic of someone who shows that quality? Like to this day, I still don't know how to find it unless I have like a one-on-one conversation with an individual, like
in
who
terms
appreciates like community or that really law of attraction. That you see that drive,
right?
Like, I don't know how to find that in a person. And I know now, like us trying to build communities, a business, we need to find like-minded partners. So, like, what do you look for? Yeah, it's not easy, for sure.
I think, one, to your point, right, like you start having to get to the nitty-gritty and find out who a person is, right?
Yeah.
It's tough for me to just look at someone and be like, dude, I think he has good energy,
Right.
right? And no, but sometimes you can, right, based on body language, right?
Yeah.
Facial expressions and how someone, you know, acts in a certain situation. Like, I love when I go to restaurants and people get the wrong order and how they respond to that, right? Something as small as that, where it's like, damn, are they going to snap and complain and, you know, tip the waitress bad now, or are they going to be like, damn, this happens, like, you know, it is what it is type of thing, right? And then you kind of move on. It's not my server's fault. Someone just messed up in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
But I think to your point, it's not easy to find like-minded people like that all the time.
Right.
But you also can't force it on someone.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
And that's something that where it's a disconnect sometimes, because you want to find like-minded people, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. But on the flip end, you can't force it on someone if it's not something that they believe in or something that they actually are.
Yeah.
So I think it's more getting to the nitty-gritty of who that person is and finding out if it's someone that you feel like you can work with, right? Like kind of how we met. Like you hit us up on IG, not really knowing who we were,
Yeah.
but we sat down at that brewery and it was like, you know, the vibe was there, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't look at social media, you can't look at someone from the outside and be like, I think I could work with him. I think you really got to find out who that person is, what they're about, you know, what's their why, what do they value, and then from there, if it's something that you can see that could have a future, then you double down on it, right? But it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. I think that answers my question right there. So it's the part where finding out is mainly the why, but it's their values.
Mm-hmm.
If you have similar values, like one thing, the first person I ever like really hit up on IG was my physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Mbuana. He brings this up all the time. It's about synergy.
Right.
So having a collective collaboration and reaching for that same goal, that was the biggest thing that I'm realizing now. Synergy is key.
Mm-hmm.
And let's do it for the sake of time. I just have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
And one was, I have a very strong affiliation to the power of no, like realizing when to quit. Because it's more like, to me, like I felt like I always had the drive, like the work ethic to do whatever I wanted. But if I ever put my efforts into being like a football player, I wouldn't make it. Like I could shoot for the stars. I would probably get somewhere.
Right.
But I would end up like not being efficient. And like for you played all your life basically for football, but then now you're realizing, oh, I might be a better coach than a player.
Right.
Like how did you figure that out? And just like saying, no, I gotta change. I gotta pivot.
Right. I think and it's tough,
Yeah.
right? Because like to your point, right? Like sometimes you can be a great player, but that doesn't translate you being into a great coach, right? Because like you have to have patience. You have to be able to work with people and understand where they're coming from. So I think it's a self-awareness test, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
It's what is that?
Right.
Like what kind of test
dude,
is that?
it's hard to describe self-awareness because it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Like you got to be honest with yourself and say like, one, what do I like doing? You know, what do I think I'm good at? And what do other people see in me? Right. Yeah. Where it's like, dude, when you start to, you know, and I've kind of seen it now where it's like, I start working with my guys and like, I feel very fulfilled when I'm like, damn, they couldn't do this drill the first week, but a couple weeks go by and like, damn, it look like they look good, right? Like they look like they can execute now,
right?
And then that's like an extremely fulfilling feeling. But at the same time, through self-awareness, it's something that each person battles, right? It's like that person that you look into the mirror. That's your daily battle, right? It's you versus you every single day,
right?
And that's something that if you can get into that mindset where it's like, I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do whatever I want to do, right? And it is tough, right? Because you have a lot of external noises, right? Whether it's your parents, you know, your girlfriend that's telling you do this, or your wife, or your, you know, siblings, right? Or sometimes the closest people to you trying to make you be something that you're not, right? And in society, it's like sometimes you just conform, and you're like, damn, all right, I'm just gonna go get that job just because I'm getting paid solid and you know the hours are decent and I get safe. A little 100%. I get a nice little card note from my company. I'm just gonna keep doing it. But you have to find that within yourself, and it's a bold thing to do, right? It's a bold thing to chase after your dreams and your visions and aspirations. But at the same time, it's like, and you know, Gary Vee talks about it. It's like squeeze the shit out of your lemon, right? Your life is a lemon, right? So why aren't you going to take advantage of every opportunity you can? Right. And it's funny because I told you I was sick, and I was like, I've been drinking a whole bunch of lemon water, and I've been squeezing it in my Hydro Flask. And I was telling Cam, like, I just feel like every day I squeeze this lemon, I'm like, I'm just squeezing life, right? Like making sure that I get every little ounce of it, so that when I'm on my deathbed at 90, I'm not going to look back and be like, damn, I wish I invested more. I wish I was able to impact more people and more kids and all that stuff, where it's like, you got to be bold enough, and if you can do it, and if you believe you can do it, then go chase it, right? But if you have second thoughts, and maybe you got to take a step back and find yourself, and it might not be till you're 30, right? And people think like, dude, you gotta know exactly what you're doing at 23. You gotta know exactly, and by 30, if you're not successful in society's eyes, you're a failure, right? But dude, people in their 30s and sometimes 40s don't know what they're doing. Right. So who are we to judge to say what your standard of life should be?
I'll say most people don't know what they're doing.
100%. People are going through life and they're learning. It's part of it. It's like the adversity that I talked about. It's like you adversity is what forms you to who you are. Right. Going through failures is what makes you who you are. Like failure is not a bad thing. You know.
I want to really highlight your analogy, but it was like, most people, when they tell me they want like lemon water, they normally just cut a slice of the lemon and just drop it in there. Yeah. But you legit squeeze the lemon and put it in there. Look. That's different. That is different. That shows that's character. That's morals. That's values. That's in real life.
Yeah. 100%.
That is dope. but on top of that, it's just my curiosity for you too is who are your, like, this is a law of attraction question.
Right.
Who are the top 5 people that you associate with, that you're closest to, and I want to see how they affect you, whether it's like how they influence you or you keep them close to you.
Right.
Like,
one, I'll say my mom.
mm-hmm.
Definitely, like, me being able to come back home and kind of live with her, and like obviously at 23, 24, it's like no one wants to move back to their mom's house or their parents' house, but it's almost like you take one step back to then leap 2 steps forward, right? And me and my mom talk all the time now, where it's like, you know, what's on my mind, you know, whether it's business or just life in general. She's a very positive voice in my ear because, one, she sees my mentality.
I definitely say you guys got the same work ethic.
Yeah, right. So she's and it's no discredit to my dad, because my dad works, and he's a lot more on the blue collar side. Where, dude, he's worked a deli life his whole life, like a typical immigrant that gets a small little business and wants to grow it up into his own, right?
Yeah.
And dude, for a long time, my dad worked 7 days a week, never missed it. It's Christmas, Thanksgiving, he's working because he never really had me and my brother in his life. So for him, all he knew was provide for your kids. And in the Korean culture, it's very much like that, where you want to make sure that your kids are living a better life than you did, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell my dad, I'm like, I appreciate that, but at the same time, like, you have a life as well.
Right.
And I always challenge him where it's like go back, like either go back to Korea, like, or, you know, go experience more stuff, like find a hobby to do, right? It's like, it can't just be work, because then you start burning yourself out and then you don't know why you're really doing what you're doing, right? But I would say that, you know, my mom for sure, my brother's up there for me, where now it's like, sometimes people always think I'm the older brother, first of all, because one, I'm taller, and it's just like they just assume that. But at this point, I've been able to learn so much from my brother through his mistakes.
Yeah. And
I don't even know if he realizes, but the reason that I think I was able to mature at a quicker rate was because he failed a lot, and I learned what not to do. Okay. Right. And sometimes you can learn through 2 ways: your own personal failures, and you think to yourself, all right, I'm not going to do that again. Yeah. Or you see someone close to you that, you know, was going down the wrong slope, and you see what not to do, right?
Right.
But me and him now chat all the time, where it's like, dude, like, me updating him on how, you know, I'm doing personally, business-wise, and then on the flip end, it's like me trying to help him now find out what his passion and dreams are. Because sometimes in the military,
you're so structured.
You're structured, but the people you're associated with, right? Especially when you go that enlisted route, a lot of guys that go to Army are, you know, uneducated, right out of high school, super young. They're headline readers. They watch Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and they're gonna instantly believe what they see.
They're adrenaline junkies.
100%, right? So
for a fact,
and that can be a tough environment. And with him being very left-winged, it's tough for him to be in that space. And I'm always trying to be a positive ear for him, where it's like, dude, you can't listen to outside noise, right? And you got to do what you want to do at the end of the day, right? Find out what your passion is. And sometimes even, you know, my brother with our family, sometimes they don't always see eye to eye, because, you know, he's kind of like, they think he's living in La La Land, but he's kind of just trying to be him and find out what his love is, his passion is, right?
Okay.
And sometimes family, man, it's tough. It's not always the easiest thing,
right?
Because everyone has expectations of what success is, but at the end of the day, success is different to every person. For you, it's different than me, right? So how can I push what I think success is on you? It's like me telling you, dude, you got to go get a new car. Dude, you're still living in that house? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who am I to do that to you when it's your life to live?
It's like people need to stop judging each other. They need to judge who they are themselves.
100%. It's not even judging yourself, but it's self-reflecting on yourself, right? Of who you are, what you stand for, and what you're trying to do.
Being authentic. I think that's what it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's more, and then I guess some other people would be my partner, Hakeem, who's actually calling me because I'm late for this podcast.
Gotcha.
But he's just been a, you know, great mentor for me, a great ear in my head, where it's showed me how to double down on yourself and make sure that, you know, that you don't live with regrets, type of thing. And he's, you know, I can't put it into words how, you know, he's definitely like instilled this, like, not even instilled the entrepreneur mindset, but he's shown me the ropes in a way. And you know, for that, it's hopefully it's gonna be a, you know, lifelong partnership moving forward. And you know, our plan is to own and acquire, dude, hundreds of units, and, you know, make money while we sleep.
Right.
But obviously, like, our whole thing is marathon mentality, and, you know, rest in peace to Nipsey. And kind of shout out to David Goggins, that super marathon type of thing, where it's like, it's not where you're at mile 1 or 2, right? It's where you're at mile 100, you know, and how, you know, what you're doing at that point. And if you've been consistent through all those miles and years,
Yeah.
then I think at the end of it, you can be confident and say that I put my all into it and not live with regrets.
Right.
But yeah, I think those are some of the closest people to me.
Okay. Yeah, we can leave it off of that. Top
Yeah.
3. And let's wrap it up from there. It's like, hey, where can they find you at?
Yeah, 100%.
Anything what's going on?
So I'm not super big. I mean, you can definitely follow me on Instagram, mchoi_6 on Instagram and Twitter. Any athletes out there, if you want to follow my, personal training page, the Athletes Marathon, it's the_athletes_marathon. And I'm actually trying to get a lot more, persistent on YouTube. So I have a channel on YouTube. It's got very few videos, but I have a lot of stuff in the queue that I'm trying to funnel out into that.
Okay.
But yeah, you should find me on Facebook, Matthew Choi or Matt Choi. And then LinkedIn, I'm on there as well. And I'm trying to, LinkedIn is underrated, so I'm trying to get more on that as well. So I would say Instagram, Twitter is probably the top easily. And then from there, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Anything going on like on Saturdays? You still doing Saturday?
Yeah, so
open
Saturday,
workout,
yeah,
or no?
open workouts. We actually are going to the sand pit tomorrow.
Okay.
But if anyone's interested, definitely shoot me a DM and dude, typically I like doing, Saturdays pretty much free, but I'm with most of my clients, I do first session is free anyways, just to see if it's something they're interested in.
Yeah.
And then from there, you kind of just move forward and come up with a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. I guess.
Awesome,
Wrap
dude.
it up. Until next time. I appreciate your time, bro.
Of course, dog. Appreciate having me.
Boom.
There it
Later.
is.